This is Jack Lazor here and Butterworks Farm in Westfield. Been farming here since 1976, and it's been a very interesting journey. We've had a, a dairy farm up here on the hill, and we've had some cropland down in the valley, and some of it was actually 10 miles up the road in North Troy on the Canadian border. We were growing, arable crops, corn, soybeans, barley, oats, wheat, peas, raising all our own seed, built a really comprehensive and well-established grain business. 3 or 4 years ago, we started seeing more weed pressure, and we came to the conclusion after looking at soil tests and organic matter levels that not really in 20 years of farming this land, we had not really improved the organic matter. Possibly it was even maybe declining a little bit. And that sort of led to this whole new exploration for me. That was the decision 2 years ago to try something totally different and stop feeding grain to our cows and become 100% grass-fed, which meant that we didn't need to grow so much grain anymore. And once we sort of embarked on this adventure, we started learning that there was a whole lot more to it than just cutting the grain out of your ration. And, we started looking at how we fed our animals as a matter of dry matter intake. When we started analyzing the amount of dry matter that was in that 9 pounds of grain at 10 or 11% moisture, and how we were going to substitute that dry matter with forage, that was either, being pasture, it was probably about 95% moisture, or if it was baleage, it would be, 50 to 60% moisture. So it meant that we had to feed a lot more forage. That was our first huge learning curve. It also meant that we had to change our rotation of which fields were made into hay fields and which fields were grazed. It was pretty stable here for several decades, and so there was, the field across the street from the barn, and that was always, cut once really early and then grazed 3 more times. And then there was the next set of fields to the south. They would always be cut twice. We'd take a first and a second cut, and then we would graze the third. Well, the cow's appetite for forages really, really increased. So we started needing more pasture. So we just had to change, how we did things. One of the things that we've done is no-till seeding out in these hayfields and pastures, trying to just boost up the plant population a little bit. We continue to spread lime, and we continue to use some fertilizers every year on most of the land. We're also dealing with our pastures in a much different way for how you graze. We leave a lot of residual feed out there. So if a pasture is 6 or 8 inches tall, we want it to be 3 to 4 inches tall when the cows leave that pasture. What happens is they just come back so much quicker. One of the things that sets our farm apart is that we have made the decision to use an alternative manure system. In 2001, we were a tie stall barn. We still have the tie stall. We milk in the tie stall, but we have a hoop barn that's 60 by 120, and we have a bedding pack in there. At the time, we were growing a lot more grain than we are now, so we had plenty of straw. Now we're taking some of that compost, and we're also bringing it up to our satellite fields and spreading it there. For being a 100% grass-fed herd right now, they're averaging just slightly below 40 pounds to the cow. Best we ever did feeding grain was 45 to 47 pounds per cow. When you become as dependent on forage as we are now, it's more important than ever to fertilize your crops with the minerals that they need so that you don't diminish the amounts that you're growing or diminish the quality of the feed. Then we had to start thinking about the whole sort of nutrient balancing. So if we were no longer feeding grain to our cows, we didn't really have an adequate way to get any extra minerals into our cows. People are beginning to realize that soil biology is that third leg of that stool of the chemical, the physical, and the biological. It's what all farmers should be striving for.